Their bags are packed, the lights are off. The only thing left is the final goodbye. UFL has all but made it official that they are out of Birmingham. So, what happens next?
So in Alabama, they have such a rich history with Birmingham and Alabama in alt football history. You know, the original Stallions, this iteration of the Stallions where they won three straight championships, or I think probably not three straight, but they did win three. You know, there's the Barracudas, the Thunderbolts. Birmingham is one of the most heavily targeted alt football cities.
And not just alt football, college football.
Yeah,
Alabama Roll Tide national championship contender, every year.
yeah,
So yeah, football is a big part of Alabama.
yeah, and it's surprising they don't have an NFL team. But looking at it now, there isn't many markets for the Stallions. So they plan to move out of protective. Rapoli has made it basically known that he hates protective, and he's shown this since he joined the UFL. It doesn't fit his vision of small soccer stadiums.
Hmm.
Um, and there really isn't any places in Alabama that fit that goal from like 12 to 25,000.
Yeah, and that's the thing when you're a minor league team. 10 to 15,000 fans, it's a different atmosphere if it's a sold out soccer level stadium arena
Yeah.
or if it's a 40, 50, 60,000 stadium that's only a fraction of the way full. It's a completely different atmosphere. So I get that he's trying to create the best atmosphere possible with the level of fans that they can draw.
Um, Because protective, it sits around the mid 35,000. Like it's around the 35,000 mark, nearly approaching the 40,000. Like it's a pretty big stadium compared to for example, Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville that sits around 20,000. And that's the perfect stadium for the league. It's regarded as the best stadium.
So that part is concluded that they pretty much have to move now. So you've put together a list
Yeah.
of landing places that would better suit the team for success going forward, right?
Yes, these are just my five places for relocation. So I wanted to keep it Atlantic or Southern to make sure they don't have to move too far away. So kicking that off is Wakemed or Wakemed Park. I don't know the exact pronunciation, but it's in Cary, North Carolina.
Hmm.
So it does sit at 10,000 seat capacity, which Rapoli wants there to be about 10,000 fans at least per game. So obviously they'd want to expand it, and it's easily possible. So they could get 15,000 plus if they really try. So that could easily help, and we could see more of that Rapoli vision being there. And I do think that the Carolinas is a good place to target
Hmm.
because like I was wondering if I should make a history video about Carolina a little bit ago, and I really realized that there's like no alt football Carolina teams like ever. Like there was maybe three or four, and none of them had very much success. So
I
being
think, not to cut you off, but I think Cary is one of the better choices because it's pretty much part of Raleigh. I
yeah,
mean, it's a little bit west, but I'd say it's part of the greater Raleigh metropolitan area.
yeah.
So it's not in the middle of nowhere. So that has got something going for it. It's not in Charlotte, so it's not competing with the Panthers. So I think if we're looking at North Carolina, that's a good area to look there. So I think that's definitely a good choice and a consideration for where the team could land that would be sustainable.
So I did have it at five just because the current capacity is so low,
Hmm.
and expanding it does take a little bit of time. So that's why it's at five. But moving on to four, I believe it's Giudis Park, maybe Giudis. I don't really know exactly. But it resides in Nashville, Tennessee. So Memphis never really did good in. It just wasn't good. It didn't work out, and they moved the Memphis Showboats to Louisville to become the Louisville Kings. But I do believe there is a chance that they go back to Tennessee. Tennessee is a great market for alt football. I mean, they obviously have the Tennessee Titans, but there definitely is a lot of room for another team in the UFL. So I do believe Nashville is a great option, and it is around the 30,000 seat capacity. So it's way bigger than what they want. But I do believe that it's possible. And actually, it's not that like much bigger than what they want. But I do believe that if they go there, that Nashville could get around 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 fans, and they could definitely make their little claim there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a stadium that that could be on the higher side, that you could kind of make it work. My biggest concern would just be that that's where the Titans are.
Yeah,
I think that's would make it really crowded to try and find fans that want to support both teams. And so I don't think it would have the same level of success as it might in other places in Tennessee. But yeah, I mean that's a consideration. I would leave it off of my list personally. I wouldn't be as optimistic just because of the proximity. You know, you with the
yeah,
UFL, you want to be the second best league,
in North America
and so I think that
or the Americas.
picking places like Louisville, St. Louis, I think that's been great choices for them. I think I just don't know that Nashville would be the best choice. But a lot of your other points make sense to me. So
All right.
I think that's something to consider. It has its
Yeah.
merits.
So that's why I did put it at four. It's bigger than what they probably want, and they have to share it with the Titans. And I do believe it's worth being on the list, but I put
Hmm.
it very low.
So what's next? What's better than that?
So at third, I have it's in it's Subaru Park in Chester or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, so it's around that area. So it's got an 18,000 seat capacity, which I do believe is around the sweet spot for the UFL. But just a little side note, I think if they do add Philadelphia, they have to go back to the Stars marketing. The Philadelphia or Baltimore Stars, as they were, is one of the most historically rich franchises in just spring football history. And there's no way that they could go to Philadelphia and be like the Philadelphia Stallions or some new team like they've been doing with Orlando. It's a missed opportunity if they don't go back to the Stars.
How long were the Stars a team?
So the Stars were an original USFL team, and I believe they won two championships, including the first season. I think they started in Philadelphia or Baltimore, and then they went to the other for their last season. So they survived about as long as the USFL did. And then when the USFL came back in 2022, they were there for both seasons in 2022 and 2023.
So definitely something that should be considered if they were to restart in Philadelphia. But yeah, 18,000, that sounds like the sweet spot as far as capacity goes, where you can have the right atmosphere and put enough fans in there too. Uh,
So I think that says it for Philadelphia, but I do believe that I'd be heavily disappointed, and I think everyone in Philadelphia would be if they be like the Philadelphia Stallions, because that doesn't make as much sense. But moving on to my second one, so I have Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I do believe you share my sentiment with that.
yeah,
So
if we were gonna pick Tennessee, I think Chattanooga would be my first pick.
it's Chattanooga. All right. Sorry, I still don't know exact pronunciation for every city, but it is far enough away from the Nashville, Memphis area, and it's not that far away from Birmingham, so it wouldn't take too long to set up there, and the fans could still, if they're diehards, they could still reasonably drive there. So I do believe it's great. It's got a great capacity of around 20,000, and it doesn't seem too bad. I do believe the fans in Chattanooga would show up, and I've seen a lot of that sentiment online with
Hmm.
people requesting and saying that Chattanooga would be a great market for the league. I don't know if Chattanooga would be a great name for a team. Obviously, with all the announcers in the world, most of them are very bad at pronunciation, like myself. But it's a little odd. I wouldn't hate like Chattanooga Stallions or something, but maybe it's a little different.
What about the Chattanooga choo choo trains?
I wouldn't be too I'd be fine with like the Chattanooga Express because the Memphis Express was in the AAF and It's not like it's reasonably it could be a thing. Like the
They can
eight,
be the conductors,
I wouldn't
like
hate it.
Columbus is the aviators. But anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that one of the great things about Birmingham is there's such a rich football history and tradition in the southeast portion of the country.
yeah,
And I think if we're able to stay in a place like Chattanooga, that it holds on to those same roots um, and draws from a lot of those same traditions, that same kind of heartbeat is how I'd feel. So I think that's definitely one of the best choices to kind of keep it in the same region, but maybe a stadium that makes more sense
yeah,
going forward for them.
yeah. That 18,000 20,000 capacity is the sweet spot, I'd say, and Chattanooga fits right in there. So I said earlier that I wanted to keep it southern and Atlantic, but we really only saw me say Chester or Philadelphia in or like in Pennsylvania. So my other option in the Atlantic, which takes the number one spot, one of the most underserved states in football history, Virginia. So Richmond, Virginia has a stadium, I think called Family Stadium, with a capacity of around 22,000 to 23,000. And I'd say it's good. It's a really good option, I think, for the league. It's not that far away, and Virginia is, it's just like a very underserved market. And DC is pretty heavily separated from the rest of the league, with their closest competitor being the Aviators, with DC to Columbus still being far away. So just going down below DC and getting in Virginia. So I do believe we could see them labeled as the as a Virginia team, but we could see Richmond because with it being in Richmond, it wouldn't be too crazy if they did that. They haven't really done one where it's the state, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did Richmond because they just it's cities. They've done
Yeah.
cities. If they're in a city, that's their name.
Hmm.
They're like, well, we're in Kentucky, but the stadium's in Louisville. We're the Louisville Kings. We're in
Yeah.
Ohio. But this is in Columbus. We're the Columbus Aviators.
Hmm.
They haven't really stepped out of that. I mean, the only one that's kind of an exception is DC, but like there isn't a city in DC because that's not a state. So I do believe Virginia and Richmond is the number one place for the Stallions to move, and I'm open to any ideas in the comments. I do believe Chattanooga is close, and I think those two are heavily separated from the rest. I
Hmm.
think they are the best two options that aren't too far away and are a good market. Any thoughts?
Yeah, so my concern with Richmond is just how close to DC it is. I mean, it depends on which part of Richmond, which part of DC, but it's about 2 hours. So that's pretty close. So
Keeps the rivalry going.
I mean, maybe, but I think a lot of teams want to have a bigger territory. So DC would probably feel like that would cut into their territory. I do think that that Virginia, the eastern part of the state is where the vast majority of the population is, and I think you could support a team there. And it sounds like the right size with a stadium, so I think that makes sense. It would just my concern would just be the proximity. Um,
Yeah. There isn't really much history in Virginia, so it'd really be a thing if they could establish that, because there was like the Virginia Destroyers, I believe, was a team in
mhm.
the original UFL from 2009 to 2012 league. I don't know how long the team lasted, because that the UFL in that iteration, no relation to the current UFL, just namesake.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of areas football tradition isn't linked to alt football.
yeah,
So a lot of areas it's either to the professional team or the college team or in some cases, the high schools. So I know if we look at that side of Virginia, we may not see a lot of professional teams, but I think a lot of their tradition stems from the high schools.
yeah,
So yeah, but I think for me, I like Chattanooga the best. I would like it. If it had to be somewhere else, I'd still want it to be somewhere a little bit further south. So I'd want to look at the Carolinas or Georgia,
Yeah.
somewhere like that. I think a wild idea would be if they were to put one like in Charleston, West Virginia. I think they would have a chance to be supported too. I don't know as far as arenas go or
Yeah.
stadiums, but um,
That was definitely a major point in my just planning for this video. I wanted to get good stadiums options.
yeah,
I
and
wanted
that
to make sense.
and it should because that's one of the main reasons they're leaving Birmingham. So if they're going to land somewhere else, then that is going to be a key deciding factor.
So I wanted to give shout outs to three other places. That obviously concludes the list, but number three, just an honorable mention, Jacksonville, Florida. So Jacksonville, honestly, I hear a lot of things that they shouldn't even have an NFL team, but the Jacksonville Bulls existed before the Jaguars did. In the original USFL, one of the best USFL teams at the time, and they've been recently trying to get that Jacksonville Bulls trademarked, and that's really interesting. I mean, they want to get that USFL history back because, they
Hmm.
took most of the XFL, like they came from the XFL, but they didn't really take any USFL with them. So I think they're trying to cover their tracks and get everything back.
Yeah. What
Um,
else? Where else?
so I have at two New Orleans. So I'm not really political, but I prefer if a city where New Orleans, uh, they're probably going to be gone in a few years, apparently. I don't know everything about that. I could be wrong, but
With
apparently,
the Saints?
no, not the Saints, but more as the city.
Oh, the city itself. Okay. All right.
I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but that's just what I've heard. And the Breakers were one of the best teams in the USFL, and were supposed to be the fourth team, I believe, but were replaced by the Showboats because they couldn't find a stadium. So they would have been good for the UFL, and they had one of the best, like the coolest uniforms too. So that'd be cool. But they'd have to be the Breakers. And then at number one, I have the San Antonio Austin kind of thing going on. So I don't want another team in Texas. I think that was a big thing
Yeah.
with the original UFL for 2024 and 2025 is because they had three of the eight teams in Texas with San Antonio, Houston, and Arlington going into the UFL. Now it's Dallas, but it's better. So I left them out of the list. So yeah, that was just the list for the top five and everything going on.
Yeah, so what this is the start of a conversation. So we had our opinions here, but you can also, like, share, comment, tell us what you think. Where should the Stallions be going, or should they stay in Birmingham, or what's the best solution? Is it something that we didn't see, or do you agree with us? Continue the conversation with us
Yeah,
and let us know what you think.
we
Um,
would love to talk to you about this stuff.
yeah, until they've settled on a new location and all that, it's still something that we can have some back and forth on and share ideas and explore together. So that's our list for right now. But go ahead and share yours with us, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that'll do it.